chapter 9, text 11. Could someone post it in the WhatsApp group? So if everyone needs to grab it. And our less tech-savvy folks, don't worry, we'll have one of the younger folks do it for you. 9/11. It's an emergency, so that's why we have to do 9/11. 9/11 is the emergency number in the U.S. In India, it's 108. That's good, actually. I'm very happy. I would be very happy to dial the emergency hotline in India. To dial 108. So, okay, does everyone have it up? Very interesting. And everyone check out this book right here. You see this nice art book? This is the pastime of Krishna revealing the universal form, or revealing the universes within inside his mouth when Mother Yashoda gazed upon him as a young boy. This is a special pastime. But it's going to relate to today's message today. So, just thought you might, if you want to appreciate something, here it is. So, everyone begin with me. Ready? Avajananti ma mudha. That's pretty good. Manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Anyone else want to give it a try? Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Maybe a lady? Lalita, you want to try? That's okay. Avajananti mamudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That was nice. Alright, repeat after me. Avajananti, deride, mam, me, mudha, foolish men, manushim, in a human form, tanum, body, ashritam, assuming, param, transcendental, bhavam, nature, ajananta, not knowing, mama, mine, bhuta, everything that be, maheshwaram, supreme proprietor. Alright, and just so you know, deride means to express contempt for, to ridicule, to feel one is less than. Did I lose my page here? Okay. Translation. Repeat after me. Fools deride me. When I descend into human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. And we'll do a purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I didn't realize it was going to be such a long purport, so we'll see what we can do here. Purport. From the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. The Personality of Godhead, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the complete cosmic manifestation, cannot be a human being. Yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality, as is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord. There are many Ishwaras, controllers, and one appears greater than another. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him a president. Each of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers, undoubtedly both in the material and spiritual world, but Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and his body is Satchidananda, non-material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful acts described in previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish deride him and consider him to be a man. His body is called here Manushin, because he is acting just like a man. A friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways he is acting just like an ordinary man. But actually his body is Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also. Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is the eternal blissful form of knowledge. There are other descriptions in the Vedic language also. Tamekam Govindam. You are Govinda, the pleasure of the senses and the cows. Satchidananda Vigraham. And your form is transcendental, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Let's see how long. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, it is full of bliss and knowledge. There are so many scholars and commentators of Bhagavad Gita who deride Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but this conception of Sri Krishna is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Therefore he is called Mudha, for only foolish persons consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being, because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. So, I think let's just keep going. Nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy, as has been explained in several places. Mama Maya Duratyaya. He claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrenders unto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of the material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot perceive that the personality of Godhead Krishna, appearing just like an ordinary man, can be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and minutest are beyond their conception, so they cannot imagine that a form like that of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all of this manifestation. It is clearly stated concerning his Yogam Aishwaram, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord. So the rest is about temple worship in Mayavadis, and it's good, but I think we're going to pause here today. Thank you guys for coming. This is very, very nice. My wife and I just came from a trip. We were at my parents' house this morning, 3 hours away. And we got up early and decided we should try and make it back here today for you guys, to be with you guys. And I'm so glad we did, because, yeah, my family's really nice, and so I was hanging out with them and stuff. But this type of activity is exceedingly rare. So I'm so happy that we can come back to the home and do that with you guys. So, all right, we're going to do some prayers before we talk about this verse, and we go a little deeper as to what this implies for us and how we can direct our lives, how this ancient wisdom, this ancient song of wisdom, the Bhagavad Gita, is useful for how we direct our lives. But before that, we'll glorify the Gurus, and we'll glorify the Supreme Lord Himself via some prayers. If you know these prayers, chant along. If not, maybe you can kind of meditate right now. Just try and really absorb the power behind the prayers. Maybe Meghna, you could scroll through these prayers. And if you know them, like I said, please chant along. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishvam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunam Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The Maha Mantra all together. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtya Deshatarine. All together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One more. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'll take the lights up now. Alright, Bhagavad Gita. You've all heard of Bhagavad Gita before? So Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavan means what? Supreme Lord. And Gita means what? A song. It could even mean a play. So essentially it's the song of God. Bhagavad Gita is part of a greater poem, a greater epic called the Mahabharata, yes, the longest poem in existence, actually, modern existence. And Bhagavad Gita is the philosophical conclusion, or the cherry on top of the Mahabharata, and it's the philosophical conclusion of how we should, how all of humanity will most greatly benefit. So Krishna actually is revealing himself. Mahabharata, Krishna is a main character of the Mahabharata, but it doesn't, it's seen in the Mahabharata that Krishna becomes the main character. But in the beginning, you don't know that Krishna is the main character at all. Actually, his devotees, like the Pandavas, seem to be the main characters. In specific, maybe Arjuna. But then when it gets to the Bhagavad Gita, then we realize, oh, Krishna is definitely the main character here. And so Krishna is now revealing his position in comparison to Arjuna and us in the Bhagavad Gita, his vibhutis. And so, and he's stating in this verse, the mudhas, the foolish, they deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So, you've all heard of the word avatar? What's avatar mean? Incarnation, but it actually has a more direct meaning than incarnation. It's Sanskrit. It means one who descends. One who descends. So, descending from where? What's that? I can't hear. Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, yes. From the spiritual world down here to the material world. There's a more modern religion that also, they don't call him an avatar, but they also have an avatar, what's maybe a more modern. What's that? Buddhism, actually, yeah, Buddha would be considered an avatar. I don't know if he would himself state that, but Buddha is considered an avatar in the Bhagavatam. Christianity, yeah, Jesus is definitely said to come from above and come down below to help mankind. This is by definition an avatar as well. So Krishna, he starts explaining the avatar system that he does. So we have the Paritranaya Sadhanam verse, and we have the Yada Yadahi Dharmasya. Basically, to deliver the pious, to deliver the good or the devoted, and to annihilate the miscreants, the Lord will descend, millennium after millennium, to re-establish the principles, the eternal principles of religion. That's why the Lord comes. That's why Krishna came 5,500 years ago to give Bhagavad Gita, because the world gets a little shaky. And when the world gets shaky, he's got to come and reset things. Sometimes he doesn't need to come himself, or sometimes he does need to come himself in a more covered form. Actually, we just mentioned Jesus. I was just spending a lot of time with my dad, and actually I was at a wedding with a bunch of friends, and quite frankly, when you get around good old country folk, white folk of the rural region of New Jersey, there's not so much scope to talk about Krishna avatars, Bhagavad Gita. I try when I can, but it's a bit foreign to them. But Jesus is very much in their understanding. So you can connect to them on that level, because Jesus is also following the same principle that he came for the same exact purpose. So, and they did the same thing. They derode him when he came. The common folk, they derode him. They actually so badly derode him that they tried to crucify him, put him on a cross, and a very bloody mess. We so much so that's not a huge part of how we like to worship and think of God, like a bloody mess on the cross. He's not a mess, but in such a gruesome situation on the cross. But this is proof that even when the Lord or his representative comes, the foolish we can't recognize. So my goal in picking this verse and talking about this verse is we should not be foolish. Who here wants to be foolish? Nobody wants to be foolish. Good, we should not want to be foolish. If we live our life in a foolish way, what's the result? Yes, suffering. Suffering is the result of foolishness. That's happened to you before. You've been foolish in a situation, and then when the truth came to light of the situation, you suffered, and you're like, "Wow, this was not what I thought it was." Who has this happened to before? Yes. This everybody in the material world, and many times we'll continue to very foolishly act. And we think, this will make me happy, that will make me happy, I'll finally get it. All I have to do is just adjust this little thing, and it just never seems to come. We never get to get our happy ending, our lasting happiness in this world. Why? Does anyone know? Why does it never just seem to come? Actually, because we're foolish, and we don't know what's actually going to make us happy. If we actually had proper knowledge, Krishna is in Bhagavad Gita, he gives what's called sattvic knowledge, illuminated knowledge, pure knowledge. In that pure state, we can actually always know. But unfortunately, he also describes that the living entities of this material world are in what's called tamas and rajas. Ignorance, and then sometimes passion. But unfortunately, the result of tamas or ignorance is we're foolish. And what we think will make us happy, actually, we don't know the truth of any situation when we're in this state of ignorance. So, unfortunately, most of the human beings are undergoing these lower modes of nature, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're suffering. Suffering itself is a symptom of ignorance. If we're suffering, actually, we're in ignorance. So that's okay. It's not this, oh man, it's not like you just say, oh, look at those kids in Yemen, they're getting bombed, and look how bad they're suffering. No, don't worry about them, they're in ignorance. No, that's, we should be compassionate. But at the same time, there's no way to stop all of it, Even when you go put a Band-Aid on Yemen, something will spring up in Ukraine, and you go put a Band-Aid on Ukraine, something will happen in Taiwan, in Africa, in this place, and that. You'll never be able to put a Band-Aid on all of it. But the fundamental issue is that there's so many living entities all here together in the material world, and we're all cooperating with each other in an uncooperative way, or in ignorance. So this is our unfortunate situation, actually. So what do we do? What type of solution is available? Meditate on Krishna, Magna says. What's that? Hari Bhajan, yes. Bhajan means worship. Worship unto the Supreme Lord. That is what's recommended, actually, because the Lord himself is the bestower of knowledge. When we get initiated into a spiritual tradition, we become what's called das. What's das mean? Yes, das means servant. We become a servant. So I'm Ram Das, the Shiva Das. When we become a das, we become a servant. And this is actually, this is what the intellectuals do. This is what the enlightened do. They become a servant of the Supreme. Instead of trying to become the master, which is what the fools do, they try to become the servant. Because they know their position. It's so, everyone here knows you're not God, right? Meghna, will you make the sun rise tomorrow? No. Meghna, if Meghna were to leave this world, the sun would still rise. Meghna, please stay in the world. But the sun would still rise, the moon would still follow its seasons, the world would continue exactly as it is. When I die, when you die, we're not the supreme controllers of this world. Even when Krishna leaves the world, everything is continuing as is, but he reveals some aspects of himself that are impossible for an ordinary living entity to do. And he's done this many, many times over. This is a nice pastime where he showed his mother as a mere little boy all of the cosmic expanse. Craig, come on in. Can we get Michael? Can you get your father this chair? No, it's not a disruption. So, does anyone else want a chair? Shiva, are you comfortable down here? I know you're a yogi. Yeah. Yogis like the floor, so that's my preference as well. A little comfy pillow on the floor. So yeah, the main thing is just try to understand our position. We're very limited. We're very small. What we can do, what we can accomplish. If the Lord was to be considered like the whole earth, what would we be in comparison? Like a blade of grass, you said? Yeah, like maybe a grain of sand. We're so infinitesimal, and He's so infinitely great. Even our modern scientists, they're finding that the known universe. Now we know in the Vedic understanding that there's infinite amounts of universes, but the one universe that we're in and we know about is infinite. That's their conclusion they're reaching. Actually, in the Vedic understanding, there is a measurement even to the universe, but they can't find it with their modern technology. So that's fine, but as far as they know, it's infinite. So that means we are so infinitesimal. According to modern science, do you know how much of the observable, the light spectrum that they've discovered with their technology, do you know how much the human eyes can see? What do you think? What percent? Any mathematician? Of the observable light spectrum, what modern scientists have discovered with their technology on how to perceive light, what percentage can the human eye take in? 1%. What's that? 1%. A bit less. A bit less. It's like 0.0001%. So practically speaking, do you guys round? If I were to tell you something is 99.999% effective, would you be like, hey, that's a good chance, it's pretty effective? Yeah, you'd almost say that's a guarantee. So if you flip that around to how much knowledge we know, what we can take in with our eyes, we know practically nothing on the negative side of that. When you say 99.99% sure of something, you're like, that's a guarantee, pretty much. But if you say you know 0.0001% of something, it's like the opposite of a guarantee. You know nothing. But yet we're so convinced we know so much with what we see with our eyes, what we hear with our ears, what we perceive of reality. But actually, factually speaking, we know, scientifically proven, we know nothing. And the Vedas and all the great spiritual masters, they agree with us. They tell us also we know nothing, that we're in this state of Maya or ignorance. So what do? We need actually a solution. We know nothing. What do we do? Is that like a revelation, anyone? That, I don't know anything. You never get bewildered in life, like you don't know what to do. Yeah, it's very natural for us.
Seek out authority.
What's that?
Seek out authority.
Yeah, of course. Just like at nighttime, what do you do when it's too dark to see? Yeah, you got to get a light. You got to get a source of light. In light actually presents knowledge. The only reason you can all see me and I can see you is because the light of the sun, the authority of the sun has graced us this darshan of each other, this visual of each other. So similarly, we have to go where there's light, where there's knowledge, and be graced that knowledge. We can't demand it. I'm here for the knowledge. Maybe someone will be so kind to give you the knowledge if you ask like that. But we have to go to the Lord, actually. And Krishna, actually, in Bhagavad Gita, he's giving you significant information on how to mold your life, what to do, who he is, why chanting his name is such a beneficial thing. our consciousness is very much absorbed in material world. Well, what's wrong with the material world? What are some things that a lot of people are thinking about in the material world? Money. Money, 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 money. Yeah, the money. Everyone's thinking about how am I going to get that next buck? How am I going to get my money? What do they do with money?
They enjoy what they try to.
Enjoy what? So what are some of the things you buy with the money?
Sex.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's where it all leads to. Everyone wants sex. That's what the material world's about. The animals, the humans, everyone is trying to figure out different ways to enjoy sex life in the material world. Refined and unrefined. You know, in America, you know, it's a little bit more unrefined. You know, in India, there's a rich system of, you know, marriage and how to appropriately do this thing. But in America, they're like, no. We're all about sexual liberation. We're getting rid of that. And then a lot of the Indians are get attracted to that. Like, we're going to America. I don't know if it was your wisest move. Maybe it was. But anyway, well, why can't sex make us happy? Every animal, every thing on this world thinks like that. Like, I'm going to be happy. I just need this person or this thing or that thing. Why? And it's not just sex. There's millions of things. You know, food. The main three pleasure portals are the tongue, the belly, and the genitals of the human, of the bodies of this world, human and non-human. But why can they never ultimately make us happy?
Fleeting.
Yes. Craig, you must have been studied up on some of this before. Yeah, it's fleeting. What's that mean?
Merely temporary.
Exactly, yeah. And it has diminishing returns as well. What's that mean? That's an old video game term I actually would use.
Ultimately creates problems in the end.
Well, it does ultimately create problems in the end, and it causes suffering. Yes. All these things are true. But like, for instance, ice cream. Who here likes ice cream? Am I the only one? Ice cream is pretty good. Some of you guys vegan in here? Anyone vegan? Okay, so you're vegan. Ah, very good. Well, what do you like? Mango sorbet? Yeah, mango sorbet. So, if I give you a whole tub of mango sorbet, Lalita eats the whole tub of mango sorbet. And then I'm like, so you would enjoy that? I could eat a whole tub of mango sorbet, no problem. But then you pull out the second tub, and I'm like, Lalita, here's mango sorbet equals happiness. I saw how much you enjoyed it. Here's a second tub. Would you enjoy the second tub as much? Wow, okay. All right, so she eats 2 tubs of mango sorbet. And then I'm like, well, look how happy you are. Here's the third tub of mango sorbet. How about the third tub? Would you be okay? Okay. I'm talking about a tub of, you know, like, you could do 2 easy? Okay, 2 easy, but then the third one, then she feels like I'll be full. So you're actually, the mango sorbet is not doing it for you anymore. So that's all the things in the material world are like that mango sorbet, or the ice cream, or the sex, you know, 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. And then eventually, you know, men literally can't do it anymore. It's actually impossible after their biology doesn't let them do that. But yeah, even if the most skilled of the, you know, porn stars of the world, they should, if that meant happiness, they should all be happy. But we actually look at those characters and we see, oh man, they're, you know, we usually, we think that's a more unfortunate situation in life. Oh man, that's what they do all the time. Why? Because actually we inherently know that this is not, you don't get happiness this way. Even though we don't know in the moment, because we often are chasing our happiness in these limited, temporary, fleeting things, and we've never tasted a higher sense of happiness. Like, I'll give you an example. I used to eat all kinds of things when I was, you know, younger. I would eat all kinds of things. And I would go to McDonald's. Anyone here ever used to eat McDonald's? Am I the only one? So he used to eat McDonald's. Craig used to eat McDonald's. Did you ever eat McDonald's, Shiva? Yeah, so when I was a kid and I was tasting McDonald's, I was like, this is a great taste. Wow, chicken nuggets? It's like, once you learn what a chicken nugget is, you should never eat that again. It's disgusting. But anyway, I thought it was just like a chicken or something. I don't know what I thought a chicken was. I never really put it together that there's like a living being that had to be murdered and its blood pumped out and skinned. And anyway, I didn't know what a chicken was. But I was eating those things and I got a lot of great taste. I was like really enjoying this thing. But then over the time, you know, you learn what clean nutrition is and food. I educated myself. I was given some knowledge, and then someone started giving me things like pakoras. Have you ever had a pakora before? It's like a fried like little vegetable in a chickpea batter, and it's like so good. And they give you a little dunking sauce. It's kind of like a nugget, a vegetable nugget, but it's just way better. There's more nutrition. It's so tasty, and no chicken had to die. And especially at McDonald's, it's not even like you know, who knows what's in there? You know, some pink goop. That's your chicken nuggets. But anyway, when you start eating that, and then someone wants to offer you a chicken nugget again, you're like, no, I don't want that. You know, at one point you're like, or you know, another example. You know, maybe you know, in your younger years, when you're like Michael's age, if you were to get a one-bedroom apartment, you might be really happy in that one-bedroom apartment. Like, yeah, this is it. But then, you know, maybe when you get to, you know, Shiva's age, maybe you still can be fine in a one-bedroom apartment. But usually people, you know, they're like, I think I could use a little bit more this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. Once you get a higher sense of pleasure, what once made you happy at a lower sense of pleasure, it doesn't do it for you anymore. There's many things like that. Our choices in food, our choices in entertainment, our choices in so many things. But if you never get that higher sense of pleasure, if no one ever gives you a pakora, chicken nuggets might sound pretty good. If no one ever gives you, you know, a higher sense of pleasure, things like sex, drugs, rock and roll might sound pretty good. But they're limited, right? All these things, you know, all the intoxication in the world, you got to come down. All of the sex life in the world, it's got to come down. It's all of the delicious foods in the world, you're going to get full or you're going to throw up or something. It's got to stop. So that's the material world. It's not ever going to fully satisfy you, and you always have to keep seeking somewhere else. And even the body from which you get to enjoy the material world from, it's going to go, you know. There's a nice example back there. There's a father and son duo. You see them back there? The boy in the blue shirt and then his father in the black shirt. And so in the blue shirt, you know, he has a body more suitable for enjoying the material world. You know, it's in the prime age to just enjoy enjoy everything in the material world. It's youthful. No offense, Craig, but it's usually a bit more beautiful in the younger years, things like that. It's more like this.
Yeah, they used to say youth was wasted on the young.
Yeah, they do say that because the old, they have the wisdom and the experience, and they're like, oh, I could have really enjoyed the world if I had that type of body.
If I knew what I knew now when I was of age, that would be so different.
Yes, but you know, that's the arrangement. You know, the joy of wisdom in age is wasted on the young who don't get to have that, but they have the other facilities. But basically there's a higher sense of pleasure. And Krishna is actually, he's revealing this to us. It's the pleasures of yoga. You've heard of yoga before? What's yoga mean? Connected with God. Union, yes. Yoga means to link, and actually, yes, yoga almost exclusively means link with what? And it's almost always with the Supreme or God. You know, so this is why Krishna recommends all of the yoga processes. So he recommends the karma yoga process, That's taking your work and trying to offer the results to God in some way. Okay, that can mean I worked 40 hours this week. Let me take 10 hours of my work and offer that back to a spiritual cause. You know, maybe dig a well for something. That's what he said. Dig wells. It would feed people. Charities, things like that. Offer it to a temple. Offer it to a place of worship. Something like this. Or they would, you know, a lot of people would give charity to the Brahmanas. Brahmanas were like the saintly men who would renounce life, and they would primarily only be interested in teaching people the deeper mysteries of life. Brahman. So this is Karma Yoga, and then there's also, he teaches the path of Jnana Yoga. What's Jnana Yoga? The yoga of knowledge. Yes, taking all of the highest and finest knowledge. And usually when you master Karma Yoga, the fruit is you gain Jnana Yoga. When you master offering your work to the Absolute, you actually gain, gradually, the fruit is Jnana. You'll actually know the finest understandings of knowledge of what this world is, what's temporary, what's not temporary. Krishna gives a lot of Jnana Yoga. It's imperative to have some jnana, you know, sambandha jnana. Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is giving you all this sambandha jnana. That means jnana of who Krishna is, who you are, what the material world around you is, what karma is, how our reactions equate to the type of life that we're experiencing, and what time is, and how time is ultimately ready to destroy and recreate everything. So when you have jnana of all these things, and you understand the position of God, the position of you, the living entity, the energies of this material world, and the spiritual energies of God, how everything's happening to you via karma and time, that jnana, you'll change what you do. You know. Now imagine Jai Neil's over here. Jai Neil, who's your friend?
He's Jai.
Jai Neil and Jai. So let's say Jai Neil, your friend Jai, he had like an interesting issue where he just like kept running his face into the wall over and over and over again. Does that sound like something Jai would do?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Jai seems a little unpredictable. Or he could just smash his head into the wall over and over again. So naturally you want to help Jai. Jai, stop smashing your head into the wall over and over again. So yeah, you know, just walk like this. You know, in teaching you teach Jai how to be a normal human being and just walk without smashing his face into the wall. This is actually what jnana is. You have jnana on how to actually walk, and unfortunately Jai has a problem. He keeps smashing his face into the wall. But that's a really crude analogy. But actually this is what we're all doing when we're smashing ourselves into suffering over and over again. Because we don't understand the jnana of karma. We don't understand the jnana of Krishna's position, the jnana of our position, kala, time, how it's all interwoven with karma, and the energies of this material world. Like for instance, a heroin addict probably doesn't, maybe they do at some point, but they don't, if they truly knew the jnana of that heroin was a very bad thing for them, they wouldn't take heroin. But because there's something in them that's telling them, pushing them, pulling them towards heroin, the lower energies of life, they do it. And then they suffer the results of it. And then they can't stop. So similarly, there's a lot of things like heroin in the world. Heroin is a very aggressive example. But it could be junk food, it could be junk entertainment, Netflix, movies, it could be junk technology, the phone, all these things, scrolling through social media. It could be nonsense literatures, like reading Harry Potter over and over again, and not having, anything higher, or Disney movies, and so on. All these things could be junk. So Krishna is giving us Sambandha Jnana, and he's giving us Jnana Yoga, how to link, how to use your knowledge to link with him. And then through Jnana Yoga, there might be a practice of what? What's another form of yoga he gives? Ashtanga Yoga. Yes, this is what almost every Hatha Yoga system is teaching. The eight-limbed yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, right? And it starts with what? Yamas and niyamas. Yama is what? What's yama mean? What's that? No, that's asana. Yeah. Yama means what? Yamaraj, the king of what? No, he is the king of death, but Yama is actually what? It's regulation. Yama is regulation. He's called the king of death because he will, based on your karma and your regulation, Yama, he will give you exactly what you deserve. The rules, he's got all the rules and regulations for you. So in Ashtanga Yoga, there's rules given, right? You are ahimsa, you become non-violent. This is what, you know this? Ahimsa, non-violence. You usually would adopt a vegetarian diet. You would not kill, you would not harm any living entity. Asteya, you would stop stealing. What are some of the other ones?
I've never heard of Jnana Yoga, but you just enlightened me on that.
Jnana Yoga.
How do you spell that?
It's pronounced Gyana, Jnana, but it's actually, in a lot of texts you'll find it's like Jnana, because of the way Roman transliterations. But it's pronounced Jnana. Jnana Yoga, and that will usually lead one to practice some form of Ashtanga Yoga, which leads one through yamas, pretty much the what not to do, don't harm, don't kill. Why am I forgetting them? Socham is to be clean. I gotta look up all my yamas and niyamas again. Aparigraha, don't hoard things, don't be greedy. And like that, and then there's niyamas as well, the things you should do, like svadhyaya, study the scriptures, brahmacharyam, observe celibacy. So these are all prerequisites to actually practice Ashtanga Yoga. And then you would do what Harishi said, asana. Like Shiva Das was probably initiated in a lot of asana poses, right? You were telling me you like to do Shirshasana, right? You don't have to do it right now, but he can go up in Shirshasana, like a headstand asana. And then after asana, you would do more yamas, pranayama. You would regulate the prana, regulate the life air with breathing, pranayama. And then pratyahara, take the senses inward. Dharana, concentrate, do deep concentration. And when you achieve deep concentration, you achieve what's called dhyana. Dhyana is meditation. And in that state of fixed meditation, you would actually achieve something called samadhi. You've heard of this? What's samadhi?
Bliss.
Yeah, a state of bliss, constant bliss. So Krishna is teaching also this in Bhagavad Gita. But Arjuna was just, when Krishna went through all these processes to him, Arjuna was like, there's no way I can do it. There is just no way. I can control the wind. He literally can control the wind. He knew mantras to actually control the wind and fire and water with his weaponry. And still he was like, I can't control my mind. There's no way I can control the mind via this Ashtanga Yoga practice. So this is actually a hint to us. Arjuna is so much more qualified than we are. So much more qualified. So it's also very likely we'll find we can't do it either. We can't achieve this samadhi. Actually, in order to achieve samadhi, in order to practice Ashtanga Yoga, you actually should renounce your family and any type of job, money, home, and you should live as a renunciate on the bank of a river, set up a proper asana. Krishna teaches you in Bhagavad Gita how to do it. And actually he was kind of teasing Arjuna by telling him this, because Arjuna wanted to do this. He didn't want to fight his war. He didn't want to fight the war. He wanted to go and be a yogi. And so Krishna's like, all right, well, let me tell you all about, he tells him about why you should do one's duty in the world, and he tells him the higher knowledge, Jnana Yoga, and he's like, you want to be a yogi, here's Ashtanga Yoga, here's how you do it. And then Arjuna realizes, I can't do this. Okay, you got me, but I don't know. So then Krishna actually starts enlightening him on Bhakti Yoga, which is what we're practicing here. Why? Because Bhakti is something everybody can do. So Krishna gives Arjuna the cheat code. And what's Bhakti? Huh? Devotion? It's like a tinge. What's driving the devotion? Love. Love is driving the devotion. So this is Bhakti, loving devotion. So with love, all things can be achieved. So Krishna says this is the most confidential secret of yoga. And this is the best way actually to connect with him, is through love. And all of the other yogas, all the fruits will also be achieved by practicing bhakti. By practicing bhakti, all of the karma yoga will easily be achieved. All of the jnana yoga will easily be achieved. All of the ashtanga yoga will easily be achieved. I was just reading about, we'll talk about them on Fridays, how some of the gopis didn't get to go along to the Ras dance. And because they were separated from Krishna and all their friends got to go, but their husbands, they had such an intense meditation on Krishna that they actually left their bodies in samadhi, which is only could be done through their intense bhakti. But they even achieved the glorious result that yogis might have to study for many, many lifetimes to achieve that result. Actually, they wouldn't achieve that result. So, bhakti is the gem, the secret of the Bhagavad Gita. But even to get to that point, you might have to come up through some of the beginning levels of yoga. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll get the opportunity, the inclination to even practice bhakti. Because it can't be done artificially. For whatever reason, though, you all came here today, though. So there's some inclination in every one of you to practice bhakti for some reason. Nice. Are those the maple things, Kashi? You like them, huh? Yeah, good. So anyway, I think I'll stop here and I'll kind of open it up for just to kind of sum up conclusion. Don't be foolish in minimizing Krishna's position. We should understand the importance of Bhagavad Gita. We should understand the importance of Krishna and the wisdom that he's trying to give us. And it's not coming from another great man. It's not coming from a yoga master or something like that. This is coming from God himself. That's what Bhagavad Gita means. And that this, not only this wisdom that he's giving, but Krishna himself is such a glorious achievement in life to have that type of relationship with Krishna. So you're given a golden opportunity here. So please don't be foolish and deride him and think him less than what he is. Don't take him for granted. Think I'll get back to Krishna later, or maybe I'll find Krishna later on. Let me try and enjoy now. Because the thing is, you never get to fully enjoy. It never works out. No matter how many tubs of mango sorbet you have, it eventually is not going to make it. It's not going to be the ultimate source of enjoyment. So try to understand this jnana, the transcendental nature of God. That's what Bhagavad Gita is presenting, Sambandha Jnana. And with the Sambandha Jnana, you can actually do what Michael said before and actually practice Hari Bhajan. There's a process on how to actually devote and worship the Supreme Lord, how to actually do that and achieve the goal, which is what we're all looking for, love, divine love. We're all looking for this love. What's the song go? We're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're looking all the wrong places for love, and it's not where we keep thinking. Because unfortunately, because we're in ignorance. So we need to be illuminated with knowledge. Some knowledge has to be there. Some bandha jnana has to be there. And then the inclination to maybe practice bhakti may come. So these are all bhakti practices. What we did, we chanting the names of the Lord. This is our prime practice. We are calling, quite literally, just the names of Krishna and his divine feminine consort, Radha, Hare, and Krishna. We're calling upon them. Maybe I'll flip to... There they are. No, that's Krishna and Balaram. Wow, this book is beautiful, huh? You should flip through this book sometime. Wow. So many pictures. There we go. Krishna and Radha. And actually, God is not just masculine. And I know all the Judeo-Christian, God is he, Father, Father, Father. Yes, true. But he also is an equal, or you could say she has an equal feminine counterpart, and that's Radha. We can learn about Radha and Krishna. There's a nice book called the Krishna book we can begin to learn. Shooty, you got that book the other day. So you can begin.
I started reading it, I like it, and thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm very happy that you got it.
I'm going to look up Jnana Yoga on it.
Gyan.
I'm going to read about Jnana Yoga in that book.
Yeah, you'll find it. You'll find it. If you want to know very extensively, the Bhagavad Gita will give you very extensively what Jnana Yoga is. If you're very interested, all these things, all the four main processes of yoga is found in Bhagavad Gita. But you're gonna find all that bhakti in the book you got, which is great. That's the best yoga. But so we're quite literally we're calling out to them in an act of bhakti, in an act of devotion, with the hopes that please have mercy on me. Please have mercy on me. I'm in a less fortunate situation. I don't know love. I want to know what love is, and then what? I want to know what love is. Someone sing the rest of it.
Want you to show me?
Yes, I want you to show me. we can think that when chanting the Maha Mantra. I want to actually know who you are, the source of love, and I want you to show me. Like, please. This is a way you can dovetail all your old mundane, because they're just talking about sex. That's what the love they're all singing about. And they're like, I want to know what sex is, and I want you to show me sex. That's pretty much what they're all singing about. But actually, if you want to know what love is, we need the source of love to show us, and that's God. And that can be done through the different processes of yoga. That's what's being done in every spiritual practice. They don't necessarily know it, and they might be offended if you tell them. If you're like, oh, Jesus was a great yogi, the best of yogis. I know a lot of Christians will be very offended with me if I tell them that. But it's true. In his main 2 commandments are to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength, and will, and to love one another. These are all acts of bhakti. So he's a great teacher of bhakti yoga. So we're also trying to share these same universal spiritual teachings. But yeah, it's gonna, unfortunately we have to overcome the stage of being foolish, not even entertaining. We might not even believe that there's a God. We might think, I know the way to be happy. I got it all figured out. But none of us will feel that when our life is leaving. It's said in the Bhagavatam, the atheist also meets God, but he meets God at his death. When the process of death comes, that's when the atheist gets to the very intimate relationship of the reality of God. But we don't have to wait. It's best we don't wait. We take this immediately right now. We don't be foolish and deride the importance of the Lord. And deride that he's clearly giving everyone teachings. Everyone has the opportunity to at least explore that God has instructions for mankind. You should check it out. Like when God gave the 10 Commandments to Moses, he was all about sharing it with everyone. He gave 10 commandments. In the Bhagavad Gita, you've got hundreds of commandments and recommendations of God. And because we're foolish, we don't care. Like unfortunately, I know a lot of my Indian friends here. You guys were raised with Bhagavad Gita, true? Who here as Indian never heard of Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, you all heard Bhagavad Gita, but how much importance do you give it in comparison to maybe your school or your work or something else that you're doing? Where's Bhagavad Gita on the list? Number 1? Yeah, most likely. I'll get it later. But this is actually because we're in ignorance. We're taking the more foolish route in life. But we should always base all that we do. Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to do our work. We're not saying abandon your work, but teach you how to do your work with what? In yoga. Karma yoga is the first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. No one is saying give up your school, give up your this, give up your that, but to actually utilize it in yoga. So this is teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So this is what we should do. We should put this Krishna on the forefront. So I'll end here. I hope I didn't offend anybody. It's my great hope I didn't offend anyone. But my humble attempt is to encourage you towards doing something that's in your best interest. And also encourage myself to continue doing something that's in my best interest. So you can put these teachings on the forefront of your life and just see how your life changes. Be a scientist, be an experimenter. And experiment yourself and see. So I'll end here. We have maybe 5 minutes for questions. Anything? Discussion? All my new friends in here just joining. Yes, very nice. Nice meeting you all. Any questions though, discussion points? There must be something.
Yeah, how many more verses am I going to take before I go to
That's a good question. There's a nice pastime of this. The first thing I would say is depends on your sincerity, right? If you're, let's say, on the foolish side of things and deriding the importance of Krishna, it'll take so many breaths, But if you're very sincere and you take it very seriously, it could be done in one breath. It could be done tomorrow. Who knows? You could sit, feel your chest, something's going on in your chest, you sit in a meditation pose and you can go right back right then if Krishna wanted you to. But we don't know. But there's one story in this regard. There was someone like a very serious, sincere Brahmanan. He reminds me of maybe like someone like Michael, who's practicing so many things, and he's doing so many really sincere things. But you could say he's you'll see the nature of him in the story. He's doing many things. He's a Brahmana. He does this ritual, that ritual, chants this prayer in the morning at this time, and he does this ritual and does it like this. And he runs into Narada Muni. You know Narada Muni? He's a transcendental spaceman. He's, he's the guru of the demigods. He's a guru of many. Vyasadeva, Narada Muni is incredible. So Narada comes up to this Brahmin, and the Brahmin asks what you said. So how many lifetimes will it take before I can go back to God?
16 million births, and he was so excited that he knew he was going to be going back.
Well, that's not him. Well, I'll let you. We'll get there. So the Brahmana, Narada, he goes all over the universe. He's like, I'll go to Vishnu and I'll ask him. So Narada goes to Vishnu and he says, this Brahmin, he wants to know how many births it will take him to come back. And he says, at this rate, it will take him 2 births. 2 births to go back. Now he gets back to the Brahmin, and the Brahmin is angry. It's 2 births? What do you mean 2 more births after this one? after this one. So like you could say this one and 2 births. He's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. He's frustrated and he leaves, like frustrated with Vishnu. That he said 2 births. And so that's very good. And then someone nearby was he was a shoe shiner. He would shine people's shoes and he would take care of their feet and make sure that they had proper footwear. And he was sincere. He was very sincere. And he saw Narada Muni. He says, Narada, could you also ask Vishnu how long it will take before I go back? And Narada says, yes, I'll ask him. So Narada goes to Vishnu, and in due time he asks him, and he says, oh, he will take 1,000 and something odd births. There's a large number. I don't know the exact number, but many, many thousands of births. So Narada gets back to the shoe tailor, and he's saying, like, yes, he says it's this amount of thousands of births. And the shoe tailor starts rejoicing and celebrating. Yes, I'm going. It's only going to take me this long. He was so grateful. He was so happy. And Narada was shocked. He's like, no, this will take a very long time. He's like, yes, but I've been, as far as I've understood, I've been in this for this eternally. So I know that there's an end to this. There's an end to this suffering, and I only have to do so many thousands of more births. Right, Kaushik? Very exciting news. Yeah, very exciting. He only has this many thousands left. So Narada goes and tells Vishnu, and Vishnu says, oh, this is very wonderful. Actually, tell him to pack his bags. He can come right now. So he takes him right immediately. So it has to do with our gratitude and our sincerity, and once the Lord sees our sincerity, it could be way sooner than you think. So that's a story I've heard in that regard.
That's the one I was referring to.
Yes. So we'll see. You might. It could be the ritualistic way. It'll take a guaranteed 3 or 4 births, or it could be with the whole sincere heart. And there's another story in the Bhagavatam where a king learned that he was going to die in I think 7 seconds, and then he just dropped in there and went everything bhakti bhajan. I mean, Parikshit, the Bhagavatam itself was 7 days. Parikshit knew he was going to be cursed to die, and in 7 days he devoted wholly and solely to hearing about the Supreme Lord, and then boom, he went in 7 days. Now I'm not saying that we're on that same level, but are we sincere? It could the fruit of bhakti can come at any moment if we're sincere. So that's Mukunda.
You were talking earlier about where Bhagavad Gita is on our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a student at one of these random universities or colleges here in Syracuse, and it's really important that I study and get good grades.
Yes.
How can I bring the level of Bhagavad Gita up in my student life?
Well, you should talk to someone like Parth. Parth is also a master's student, and he also is a studier of Bhagavad Gita, and he decided he wanted to live here. And since he's been studying and joining us, I saw him excelling in his material fields, getting all kinds of scholarships and all kinds of, excelling. But why? Because Krishna, when he's teaching Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was a warrior, and a warrior's duty is to fight, just like a student's duty is to perform one's student activities, or a family man's duty is to provide for their family. So Krishna teaches you how to do that in the highest way, in yoga. So if you're a student and you have to study and do all these things, Bhagavad Gita should be the first thing you study, so you can actually learn how to do your duty properly, not in ignorance. So Mukunda threw me a little softball lob there to hit a home run with the students. But that's obviously Bhagavad Gita should be on everyone's. I'll give you an example. I mean, this isn't a very popular example, and a lot of people will be like, why are you giving this example? But there were the Nazis who, we're not saying Nazis are good, but the Nazis, they every day actually would try and study Bhagavad Gita to actually, because they had giant worldly ambitions, which ended very badly for them because they weren't of the highest morals and they were actually very bad. But they tried to harness the power of Bhagavad Gita every day. But there are so many. Albert Einstein did, Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, all these great people who had many material things to do in the world. They put Bhagavad Gita on the top of their list, this teaching, because this is how you can actually achieve anything. I'm not saying that we should try to be like the Nazis and try and use it in a perverse way. And the Lord will actually himself check it, like he did check their ambitions. But, yeah, like this. I think we'll end here. Michael, are you going to be here for Kirtan? No, I already led a Kirtan.
Lead another?
He's saying lead another Kirtan. No Adya here? To also lead Kirtan. Okay, I guess. Is there any other question? I don't know if I had it in my voice for another Kirtan. Any other thing?
I just want to compliment you on the way you express yourself. Your speech is very good. You're a good speaker.
Wow, thank you. It'll be useless if I don't use it for the Lord's service or in yoga. But thank you so much for appreciating. What's that?
I'm gonna put the Bhagavad Gita first in this talk.
Okay, I'm very very excited about that, Shiva. And if you need a Bhagavad Gita, you let us know. We got them.
I want to look and see what Jishra had. I got one from Hare Krishna several years ago.
Yeah, if you have the as it is version, you got it. So just look for that as it is version.
I'll text you an image.
Yeah, let me know. So very good. So I think we'll lead a kirtan here. And thank you who joined us on Zoom or our YouTube. I'm going to end with you guys now. But we'll stay online for Facebook. And we'll do